Hi folks, you're with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for joining this live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab and Davos and all that sort of stuff. They're sort of grooming and training puppets to be inserted in Western governments, all across the Western world. And they seem to have an astonishing success rate in getting their proteges, getting their trained puppets into positions of, president, prime minister, excuse me, senior politicians, deputy prime ministers, heads of large public service departments, and so on. So they're in all the positions that are needed to be controlled by the globalists to force and push the globalist project onto an unwilling population that never voted for it, never wanted it, never agreed to it, were never asked. So now, if you're going to get people to accept something they don't really want, then you try and get one of their own to sell it to them. And anyone that's controlled by the globalists, whether that's in the media or in politics or anywhere, their job is to sell and spruik and push and flack for the globalization project. And we see this here because it's an unending barrage of propaganda and lies, the most terrible lies, pushing the globalist project. And those lies and so on are attempting to remove what the globalists would see as obstacles or anything that may hold up or slow down the globalist project. So, and things like, the law and due legal process, the vote and all these things, this just gets in the way. So, but don't sell the globalists short. They've done they thought ahead on this one. And they thought, well, we've got to control the politicians that the people vote for. And so we've got to get them when they're young and make sure they get into positions of power. I just want you to think about this for a minute. I mean, if you look at, let's just take three examples, or four. Let's take four. There's the Prime Minister of Finland, Sanna Marin. Now, she's, I think, 35 years old. She was elected to, or installed, I think maybe a better term, but let's say elected for the sake of argument, to the prime ministership when she was 34 years old. Now, she's achieved nothing in her life. She's quite moronic, quite childlike. She doesn't talk about policies going to make people's lives better. She talks about, it's just straight globalist talking points, global warming, there's feminism, we need more black lesbians in Finland, those sorts of things. Isn't it great that the heads of most of the political parties in Finland are all young women? Isn't that wonderful? It's a good in itself. We should be rejoicing. Now, Justin Trudeau is another one. I mean, he's an absolute fucking moron. Jacinda Ardern in New Zealand, Chrystia Freeland also in Canada, who's, I think, Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister in the Trudeau government. And there are others I could sort of name, but that's a good enough sample, I guess. Now, when people are that stupid and unimpressive and have achieved nothing in their own right and can point to no achievements. I mean, Justin Trudeau was a part-time high school drama teacher, and I think he gigged as a ski instructor in winter sometimes. I mean, that's it. The guy's got nothing to point. He's produced, created, and achieved nothing, and yet somehow he got up as prime minister. Now he's not bad at reading off the teleprompter, and he's not a bad-looking guy, and all this sort of stuff. And there's that, and he's got the hangover from the famous Trudeau name. His father, or alleged father, Pierre Trudeau, who was Prime Minister of Canada some years ago. So, but you look at Trudeau and say, well, how could he have got elected into? I mean, getting into Parliament, maybe that I can sort of, okay, the party would have thought, no, a big name like his, that could be helpful. So they brought him in there, and then next thing you know, he's the prime minister. And again, all he does is talk globalist talking points. It's almost as if he's directly being instructed by them. Each day he gets the phone call, Justin, do this, Justin, do that, and he just runs around doing it, and he's very much pushing in support of the globalist project, and like most Western politicians now, they're controlled by the globalists and the public service institutions. He'll tell any lie, any grotesque untruth, any deceit, any treachery, any false accusation, any false flag. Everything is up for grabs when it comes to pushing the globalist project. But again, he's not an impressive guy. Now, with these people, again, Jacinta Ardern, I mean, again, she's a fucking moron. You listen to her sometimes, and she sounds like she's in the high school girly debating team, and not doing a very good job of that. It's almost cringeworthy to listen to her. It just seems so childlike and stupid. Now, maybe she's a genius. She's so much of a genius that a stupid idiot like me can't see the extent of her genius. That's a possibility. The same with Sanna Marin and these, especially these women that are controlled by the globalists. They do the same thing. They divide society. They're not doing anything for, as I can see, not doing anything in total. They're all they're doing is talking, dividing people by gender and by race. That's all they're doing, and by ideology. Are you a committed climate change fanatic? You're not. Well, you're a Nazi. You're a fascist. You're Hitler. And this sort of thing. So, but how are these people getting into these positions of power? So they can't just, the globalists, the World Economic Forum, the Davos crowd, they just can't pluck someone out of out of wherever and say, well, that person's going to be prime minister or this or that. That they can't do. They can only do that if they've got a big infrastructure, a big enough infrastructure around those people in those countries to make sure that they do get elected, they are put forward into high office, that candidates in the opposition parties who would look better than them, who may win, have to be removed, have to be denigrated in some way. So they're the only plausible choice in a system that is going to elect whoever's a member of whatever party. So they're very much the party machinery that exists in all Western countries, Republican Party machinery, Democrat Party machinery, that sort of thing. Those machine men and women, they're also all controlled by the globalists. So it's not just the politicians. The machine is controlled by the globalists. So they're making sure in coordination that such unimpressive people as Trudeau, Jacinta Ardern, Sanna Marin, Chrystia Freeland, that they all achieve high office and can make decisions, as all these people are, by the way, very much in favour of furthering and implementing the globalist project. So what this does, it indicates that you can get some blithering moron, like Trudeau, he had a big family name, but any blithering idiot like Jacinta Ardern, and put her in a position of prime minister. I mean, it's very scary when you think about it. I mean, she wouldn't have, she'd probably be some sort of, I don't know, working in the HR department of some government, or the HR section of some government department. That maybe would be, diversity officer or something like that. That would be the height of her achievements. But she's put forward as they usually do. They create this sort of thing of, well, she's got 5 million PhDs. She's a published author with best-selling books all across the universe, and she's a fucking genius. And so it's only right that she gets elected to be the prime minister. Now the reality is, of course, she's an absolute fucking moron. But they've controlled enough of the party machinery, the infrastructure, the electoral infrastructure, to make sure that their flunky, their puppet, their stooge gets into the prime minister. And once they're in there, then they can put forward the globalist policies that the globalists want and need in order to further the globalist project. So what this does, it just shows the extent of the vertical and horizontal control all across the political and public service spectrum that the globalists have. Just again, more recently, look at the FBI in the United States setting up the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping. They orchestrated and paid for and underwrote the whole thing. Quite prepared to see innocent men go to prison for a little treacherous little gig that the FBI did, and then they what appears to be they did exactly the same thing again in January 6th. So we're looking at the globalists will tell any lie, any untruth, no matter how grotesque, in order to further the globalist project. But I just wanted to touch on this, the extent of the control they have and how they can ensure and guarantee that such unimpressive people achieve high office in government and the public service and so on. It's very scary. You've been with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.